Private equity is and has increased quite drastically in Africa. And it is starting to increase in oil and gas. Indeed, public and private equity, I believe it was the second largest source of funding in 2014 for oil and gas on the continent. And that's what we're here for today.
I mean, the bet on oil pricing, whether they're going down or not going down, I think it will be a very dangerous game to play. We are very, very clear, though, that from an infrastructure point of view, in terms of just the gigawatts that Africa has, less than 100 gigawatts of power, only 45 is in the rest of Africa, and another 45 is in South Africa. So there's a strong need for infrastructural development. While there's a need for an energy mix, we also are requiring a need for a funding mix. And private equity fits right in that space of ensuring that the funding is fully diversified and people can choose different classes in terms of funding that kind of growth and the potential upside that we are seeing in Africa. Yeah.
Come back to the infrastructure. The real way to make the biggest impact in Africa is in the infrastructure space, and it's one that's badly needed, and it's very much that midstream and downstream play where private equity, I think, can make the biggest impact over the next decade or two. The upstream, if and when it comes, will be very nice, but actually it's about power. It's about onshore. It's not just the big finds areas 1 and 4. It's about the onshore utilization and the beneficiation of that as well.
On a risk-adjusted basis, increasingly it's more easier to do business in Africa. The cost of entry is also affordable. And I think the liquidity part is also very clear, because increasingly if you're a PE investor, you're getting in with a view to get out. You know, if your exit is not very clear, you can't get in. So I think those 3 elements are tremendous factors in indicating the new momentum we are seeing. If you look at the sort of exit options that we have, South Africa alone, about 40% of that, but increasingly now you have North Africa, West Africa, you have between them 25% in terms of the exit option that you have in the market. So I think for PE firms, there's that availability of multiple players in the market that creates that option if you're looking to exit, which is a significant indicator to get in.
In terms of where private equity wants to invest right now across the value chain, I would say that if I just look at the oil and gas value chain, oil field services are still difficult. Upstream is very selective. So trying to find investors for unconventional assets in Africa, I think it's almost impossible. Exploration is still very, very difficult to finance from a private equity point of view. Although Kenny mentioned, Delonex, which is a PE funded, but that was before the big oil price crash. There is indeed renewed interest in development financing from a private equity point of view. And I think similarly to what the traders said yesterday, the focus is maybe more now on the midstream and downstream because it's less volatile. And until there's more certainty on upstream gas price and the economics of upstream projects, I think the private equity money will be going more towards midstream, pipelines, retail, depots, storage than exploration.
The next big jump that needs to come in terms of private equity into Africa, that we're really, really going to see the significance, is that, we're lucky that a lot of these funds have come from abroad. A lot of the money which has come either from the DFIs or from the commercial firms have come from basically outside Africa into Africa. But it's helped to start developing this industry. We now have local Africans who understand private equity in terms of fund managers. We have local African law firms. We have local African accountants and everything. So we've built a little bit of an ecosystem. But what we need to do to make that next leap is to be able to actually get the African pension funds. The South African pension fund has played a significant role, not just in South Africa, it's also gone into the rest of Africa. But we need to play to play a significant role in getting the African pension funds to be able to invest in this equity class.